Hello everybody, it's jrobi. I'm going to take you through a game here I had on, I was playing on the Internet Chess Club on a trial because for some reason since yesterday I haven't been able to connect to the free Internet Chess server. So if anybody's able to connect to that server, please post in the comments, but as far as I can tell the web page is down and the site is down. So I'm going to take you through this game. It was actually it was a really fun game. It was tense pretty much all throughout, and so we'll get started here. I'm jrobi and I'm white. So go with king's pawn opening. And my opponent plays pawn to c5. So when I see that, my first instinct was just to go to d4 with my pawn, offering it up to get my queen out. So I bring my queen out here. Now my opponent could have done something right here to make me kind of kick that queen around a little bit. But anyway, my opponent plays e6. So I start to develop pieces. I bring my knight out to f3. He goes pawn to b6, and I bring out my bishop, pinning this pawn to his king. And he makes an attack on my queen. However, the queen, the only thing that was stopping me from going here before was this bishop right here. So when he brings the bishop out, I just come in now. Sometimes these queen attacks work, sometimes they don't. But I mean, if you got an opportunity to try, it never hurts. But he plays right away queen to f6, so I just trade the queens off. One of the reasons I did so is my pawn's structure was still nice and tight. His was a little scattered here. Plus, I still had one of his pawns down, so I figured, it was a fairly equal footing. So let's get the queens off the board. So I continue with development, knight to c3, and he attacks my knight. Now I know at this stage in the game, after several moves, he's probably just going to take the knight. So I don't really worry myself too much about it. I just castle and he takes, and I double up my pawns. Now I'm okay with doubling up my pawns here in this game for a couple reasons. Number one, I have my bishop here, and if my opponent, which you'll see eventually does, were to bring out the bishop, then all I need to do is move the pawn up one, and she's pretty much good to go. So double up pawns here didn't really bother me too much at the time. So anyway, my opponent plays knight to e4, threatening my my hanging pawn there. So I just back it up with my bishop. Now my opponent plays a bishop move, so there goes the pawn. And now I've got an attack lined up on the rook. So I was kind of hoping at the time that he would think that he would be focusing mostly on the action going on here and forget about his rook. But he didn't. He moved his rook over. So from here I attack the knight with the rook, and he takes the bishop. I guess he just wants to clear off as much material as he can, do some trading. Pulls his knight back to d6, attacking my weakened pawn. I just let him have it, and I take one of his knights down. So at this point in the game, it's 2 rooks and a knight versus 2 rooks and a knight. My opponent has 6 pawns, and I have 5. So I start to do some attacking here, and he does some good work on my pawns. But I've got a plan here of working on the back rank. So I come in with my rook, attacking here, and my next move after he brings his rook down here is knight to e5. Now what this basically does is I'm able now to hit those pawns with pretty much impunity, unless he tries to kick my knight out of there somehow. So he plays knight to c3. Now what he's focusing on here, and I could see at the time, was he could see that my rook here was 1 square away from my king. So what that means is if a rook were to take this rook, my king couldn't take back. That would be checkmate. However, the problem is his rook's way up here, not supporting this rook. So unless he can get something with his knight, I wasn't worried about that checkmate. So I just continued ahead with my pawn attack. He moves his knight to e4, attacking this pawn here. Once again, wasn't too worried about it, continued with the pawn attack. He takes my pawn on f2, and still I'm not too worried about it. I take his last pawn on rank 7 here. And now he brings out this other rook, so he's attacking my knight here. So I got to do something about that. So I put him in check. He puts his king back on e7. I put him in check again. I was just basically thinking of what I was going to do. So he moves his king to f6. And this lets me come in for checkmate. The king can't go anywhere. So it's pretty much stuck because this rook here is supporting this knight. This square is covered by the rook. This square is covered by the knight. Rook, rook. So it was a nice checkmate. It was a pretty good game. And basically, you know, when you see threats, like for example down here, when he's working on his rook and knight, if you see threats, you got to try to think. And I've been trying to think of what, you know, what's the impact of these threats? Is it going to be a checkmate? Is there a risk of checkmate? Does it require another piece? And if so, you can continue. If it's not an immediate threat, you can continue on with your strategy. Anyway, it was a shorter game, so it was a shorter video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.